Hi, my name is Carol Leifer, and I feel fresh about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
Fresh.
It's new, it's fresh.
It's new, it's fresh.
Yes.
Well, we have crossed paths many times, but never had a chance to sit down. And this is a treat for me because I've wanted to talk to you. And this is our opportunity right now.
It is.
Because we've worked side by side.
Mm-hmm.
We just did the Oscars together.
Yes.
You were a writer on the Oscars. I was hosting the Oscars. And yet there's all this running around and we keep passing each other in the hallway. So it's nice to sit down because you have, in my opinion, one of the best careers of any comedy writer I can imagine.
Wow. High praise.
I mean, think about it. Think about
Yes.
this. These are the shows, and I'm explaining it to you as if you've lost your memory in an accident. I'm a doctor that's come in, and I'm telling you, your name is Carol Leifer. You've written on Seinfeld, Hacks, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Modern Family, Saturday Night Live, The Larry Sanders Show, and 10 Academy Award shows.
Yes.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Oh, and you're leaving out the Colgate Comedy Hour.
Yes. You killed it in 1952.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You were a fetus when you wrote for that show. There's so much to talk about because there's the world of comedy writing, but what I want to start with is you come from the world of stand-up 1970s, and I've talked to people like Susie Essman about what it was like in those early days to be a woman who's trying to do stand-up comedy in the 1970s.
Yes.
And it was, I would guess, not easy. Not an easy thing to crack.
You know what? It was actually quite the opposite because there were not many women, and I always thought that was a tremendous advantage because I always talk about the 70s stand-up. They were looking for comedians.
Right.
But it's really true. So when I started, there were like 4 or 5 women comics. Rita Rudner was of my generation. And they wanted women comics. And I always felt I got so much support from the guy comics. I mean,
good.
Yeah,
Good.
A lot of people thought it was a little rough and tumble and all that. But I got so much support. So I found it to be advantage. I mean, what was obnoxious was way back then, they wouldn't put on 2 women following each other. It was like you had to be separated. Like we'll have the singer, then the ventriloquist, then a woman, then the monkey act, then maybe another woman.
You're a novelty.
Yes.
It's like someone who can separate both shoulders,
Right, the contortionist, then a woman.
Yeah. Another oddity that represents 50% of the population and is responsible for the continuation of our species. Right. One of those things. It's so weird.
I could follow a bearded woman.
Yes.
But not a regular.
I've been mistaken for a bearded woman, John. It's so interesting to me because you get started in this time, and the thing that always fascinates me is what's the impetus? What makes Carol Leifer, as a young woman, decide I'm going to go swim upstream against the current and get into this profession? I mean, it's strange enough in those days when a man decides to do it.
Yeah.
But where did you come from? What made you want to do this?
Well, I think as always wanting to be a performer, like most people's greatest fear is speaking in front of large groups of people. Most performers' fear is not speaking in front of people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You had it in you. You wanted to be in front of those people.
I did. And what I liked about stand-up was anybody can do it. I was going to school at Binghamton. Paul Reiser was in my theater group. And he told me, like one day, during the summers, I go to these comedy clubs and on audition night, and I perform. And comedy clubs were so new then, so when he was talking about clubs, I was like, this guy goes to clubs? What is he, like Vic Damone?
Yeah.
Performing at these places. So he was like, anybody can go on. So I always loved that about it. And I still love that about stand-up. It's like, you want to go on. It's not like an actor where you have to audition and,
Right. Or a musician where you need to have your tuba with you.
Yes.
You can just walk in, you can be somewhere, you can go up and you can do a set.
Exactly. And the first time I went on my first audition, it's also something about being young and having a lot of balls that you don't have later on in life.
You have more to lose later in life, I've noticed.
Yes.
That I completely agree with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
There's a period in my life where I had a $380 a month apartment. I had a beat-up 1973 Plymouth Valiant. And I'd do anything. I sold my body for sex. And enjoyed it. And often would,
Win-win.
Win-win.
Okay.
I wouldn't even take the money afterwards. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I went on audition night. My first audition night, I killed. It was amazing. And I thought oh my God, this is not only so great, it's so easy. I'll be on Johnny Carson next week. This is amazing. It wasn't until the second time that I went on that I completely bombed. So bad that I invited friends from college to come see me because I was I'm doing great. And you can and I had a tape recorder on the table, and you can actually hear my friend in the middle of my set going, oh.
Oh, man.
Muttering how horrible it was going over. So then I saw to be a stand-up comedian, it takes some work. You have good nights, you have bad nights. There are a lot of factors that go into it, who you follow, what time of the night you go on, how inebriated the crowd is. So you have to learn to negotiate all that.
You talked about Carson. I know your real break came with Letterman.
Yeah.
Because Letterman's show, which was, such an influence on me, I think I'm 17 or 18 when he does the morning show, and then switches over to the late night show. So I'm maybe 19 years old when he starts the late night show. And comedy is my religion as a 19-year-old.
Right.
And so I become a total acolyte, and I'm looking at David Letterman saying, oh, this person's showing me the way. You knew Dave.
I didn't.
You didn't know Dave?
No. In 1980, kids, I was in a contest called the New York Laugh Off. And it was a contest, of comedians. And, that's so funny to me today. It's back then, that's how you got exposure. You were in contests, you know?
Right.
And it aired on Showtime, and Letterman saw that and recommended me to The Tonight Show for that.
Okay.
And then The Tonight Show saw my big laugh-off set, and they passed.
Yeah.
So then when Dave got his show, they just reached out and said, would you like to be on?
And he put you on a bunch of times.
Yeah, I was on 25 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And they gave me an open door. It was whenever you have a new set, come on, which was amazing.
There's such almost like a lemmings or sheep kind of mentality where people don't think you're the real McCoy. But once you've been on a show and there's tape of you and there's a famous host saying, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carol Leifer, suddenly they're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were one of them before. You just, it's a magical thing.
Yeah, but not really until you go on TV. I mean, to this day, my first appearance on Letterman is one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you're not just, kind of in it, you're really in it.
Also, it was a different era than today. I mean, I talk about this a lot, and when I talk about it to my kids, I sound like an old wizard telling people about the beginning of how Earth formed.
Right.
But
it was so different that my dad bought a VCR to tape me. At the time, it was $1,000.
Oh, wow. Right. Well, they were made of gold. The only VCRs were all gold. They were made by Rolex. Then they got into the watch business. But one of the things that was interesting, too, is I've talked to people from that era, ahead of you, but they were Steve Martin or comedians of that generation. They would say they would go on Johnny Carson's show, and the next day they would walk down the street and people were shouting out of cars because half the country watched.
Mm-hmm.
It was the equivalent of being on the Super Bowl, except it happened every night.
Yeah.
Because there was literally one late night show. And I remember when there was, there's Carson and then Letterman after Carson. And occasionally there'd be another show that they would put up, but it wouldn't last that long.
Yeah. It was Merv Griffin during the day.
Griffin, yeah, during the daytime. But who was watching TV during the daytime? I wasn't. So to me, it was, if something happened, I mean, I remembered when David Byrne, for the Talking Heads, went on Letterman, and Dave Letterman interviewed David Byrne. And everybody I talked to the next day, because we were all in college, we had all seen it.
Yeah.
There was no, it was a time when we were all gathered around the same campfire. And so there was a magic to that, which gave you this legitimacy and power.
Right. The Freddie Prinze story. He did, I think, like one appearance, and then he got like Chico and the Man the next day. Got his own series.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was very young. He was like 20 or 19 or 20.
Yeah. But it was definitely like a star maker.
There's one thing that stuns me in the world we're in today that I do not understand, which is what has always stood in politics is that when things happen during a president's term, and you saw this firsthand, that president is accountable. That it's on your watch, so you're accountable. And good things happen, great. You benefit. Some bad things happen, you take the hit. That is the way it has always been in American politics. And now we're in this strange moment where I watch these ads for Trump, and I watch people campaigning for Trump, and they're running as if he's an outsider who's trying to replace President Biden. And so and to the degree that it's almost comical, they'll say, elect Trump and we'll stop all of this negativity and this violence, and we'll stop, the horrors of the pandemic, and we'll stop all. Don't you hate what's been happening the last couple of years? What's all going to end if we could give Trump a chance? And I think, what are you talking about? Yeah. He's the incumbent. This is insanity. Well, this is madness.
It makes me think of, the tagline when my husband was president was "Thanks, Obama," right?
Right.
I mean, you remember that. Anything that happened wrong in the world, it was "Thanks, Obama."
The first time I went to Ireland to shoot some comedy, the first guy I ran into said, you're here to take the piss out of Patty, are you? Like, you're here to fuck with us, are you? And I thought, no, I'm here to just get some good content, and the joke is going to be, we'll see. We'll see. And they're just on you right away.
Oh, yeah.
What are you up to?
Yeah.
Oh, you're making fun of us, are you?
Yeah. It's a big part of the personality just to sneer, just to be a sneer, just to take the piss out of everyone.
Right.
Which is good, because it means you can't, get any delusions about yourself.
No, not even for a second.
Not for a second.
But also, I know I'm one of 6. I'm
I'm one of 5.
And you're one of 5.
Yeah.
And so my brothers and sisters, even though I've had this measure of success in my business, I know they love me, and I know they're proud of me, but it's just constant put down jokes. And I know. And when I come home, it's they give me shit that I didn't empty the dishwasher back in 1978. You know what I mean? And it's all that. And I'll say, I just had this nice thing happen for me, and they gave me a medal, and they're like, yeah. You didn't empty the dishwasher in 1978, you prick. So that's what it's like. You must get that from your siblings.
My siblings are honestly my best friends and the best people I know, and they are incredibly supportive and lovely about everything. But also they don't give a shit. And why should they? My brother played rugby for Ireland, so nothing I did would ever reach that in any way.
Right.
He's stood on a pitch and sung the national anthem while 30,000 other people sang it.
Right.
He's held their hopes and dreams in his hand on home turf. He's got 2 hands, actually. They're in his hands.
Really? That's so impressive.
Yes.
I've read about him. It's incredible what he can do.
The 2-handed rugby player.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I'd be impressed if I understood rugby, but I fundamentally do not understand that sport.
I guess it's like American football, but just much better. And no one no one wears those silly costumes.
So yes, you're getting the support, but also it keeps you in check because I mean, I'll bring it up. How can you just won a BAFTA, which is a huge deal.
I know.
And I'm telling you for the first time.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it just came in over the wire. You won a BAFTA. You won a Nobel Peace Prize. No, you won a BAFTA. You won a Peabody.
Yeah.
I mean, this is incredible, heady stuff. Were you there for the BAFTA ceremonies?
I was.
So you just flew in?
I just flew in.
Okay.
Well, that can I just say that is why I said I'm exhausted to meet you. I mean, of course, I'd be thrilled to be your friend if we ended up
I'm not buying
you having a tight bond.
Not buying
no?
it. No,
I'm only exhausted because I am actually exhausted.
I know you flew in
just really stupid. I didn't think it through. I hadn't looked at the dates properly, and then it was done, and I just thought, no, that'll be fine because I write quite well on a plane, like because you don't have Wi-Fi unless you buy it, and even then
I can't figure out how to buy it.
I have never figured out how to buy it,
and I think once I successfully did it, it was an accident.
But did you just get really delirious and start laughing?
I started just trying all kinds of different things, and then I got the Wi-Fi, and I was so excited the captain had to come out and calm me down, and no one was flying the plane for a bit.
Yeah, I worry about it still, that something will, if I've got the Wi-Fi on, something else will turn off,
Yeah, just that's exactly how it works. Are you one of those people that think if you accidentally leave your phone, if it's not on airplane mode, the plane will crash?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
when I fly with my kids, I'm like, turn your air flight mode on because it's really dangerous. This plane might go down. Yeah, so I can write really well on a plane because I don't have Wi-Fi and I'm just, nothing else to do. So I thought I'll write and it'll be okay. But it's,
I swear to God, when I saw, because it's a big story, Sharon, that you had won the BAFTA and it's this picture of you and all the cast and you're in London. I told my publicist, well, I won't be interviewing her. She's now way too big for us. I won't be seeing her. So I was pleasantly surprised that you showed up, but then did the math in my head and realized
I'd be knackered.
Yeah.
Well, I was at the Webbies last night. I came over to do that as well.
I preferred if you had said I flew here just to see you, Conan. But now we have to bring up this Webbies shit.
I'm also going to the Irish Arts Centre later today. I did tell you that it was the embassy, and then I remembered that it's not actually. It's the.
Oh, you lied.
I did. Well, I didn't lie. I mean, I'm jet lagged, so I think I just said that word instead of Irish Arts Centre. But yeah. So, did you know that the Webbies? You just do a five word speech.
Yes.
Well, a man was getting an award there who had invented emojis. Can you believe that?
Uh-huh.
he did a 5 emoji speech.
Oh, really?
And
how did he say it?
Everyone went, oh, when they saw the 5 emojis. It just popped up on the screen. It was really. I felt I was in the future.
Did you feel at all that writing as we know it is over? That you will be replaced by emojis? That's what you should have been. That's where my mind goes.
Really?
Yeah.
I try not to think like that. I mean, I think emojis are great, but they have limits.
I don't.
You can misinterpret an emoji.
I have many times. It's been quite embarrassing for me. I thought I was having an affair. And then it turned out no.
Someone's just really angry with you.
Someone wanted me to pick up eggplant at the store.
Someone wanted you to go to the farmer's market.
And I misunderstood. It's not my fault.
That can happen with words though, right? That's a terrible thing. If you misinterpret. Or if you're like, you're not sure. That's the worst. If you're kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
Like, are they trying to say that they feel a certain way about me? Or are they just...
Well, text is really strange.
Funny? Yeah.
I don't know.
So is email.
Email is very strange. But I had a waitress yesterday here in New York. I did an interview and then we went out to lunch and I was talking to her.
You went out to lunch with the waitress after you did your interview.
Did I say that incorrectly?
I thought
I want to
did
get
I
it
pick
out
up
there
wrong?
that, and I don't want my wife to know that I'm dating a waitress here in New York while she's in Los Angeles. That's what I'm trying to say. And no, I went to a restaurant with some of the people I work with here, and the waitress, made some quip, and she said, "I need to tell you that I cannot register sarcasm." And she told me that. And I don't even think I was trying to be sarcastic. I think I was just said something silly, not sarcastic.
Yeah.
But she said, "I do need to tell you,
Wow.
I cannot register sarcasm on people's faces, and I never have." And
But
I
what's the worst that could happen in that case? She's just not enjoying your joke, your sarky
that's
jokes.
to me, that's the lowest level of hell. Is someone not enjoying
getting
what
you.
I'm doing at any given moment. There's a great, and I think it's Nathaniel West, but I think he said, Hollywood's the only place where you can die of enthusiasm. And I just loved it because it's nothing but, they love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Oh my God. I mean, everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
You should have heard it. And when I told people in the room went, and you hear all those things, and then people can hear that for 15 years and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And
Imagine. It frightened the life out of me. It really did frighten me. Like I was going to meet these, really great writers just to sort of, just to pick their brains or get tips on how it's done and sort of realize they hadn't had anything produced for X amount of years. And I found it really scary because I just love making stuff. Of course, that sounds like a really obvious thing to say, but
no, but it's funny. It's not, you say it's an obvious thing to say, but I meet so many people, young people that talk to me and they say, they're interested in, they want to talk to me and how do I do it? And I'll say, what is it you want to do? And they it's clear very quickly they want to be famous.
Yeah.
And what I try to point out to them is you really have to love making stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee. First of all, the fame thing, I always try and tell them is it feels almost like a dental x-ray. You almost don't even feel it. It's nothing. You get your table a little faster at a restaurant and you take a lot of selfies, but other than that, it's a very thin broth. There's not a lot there to sustain you. So you really have to like what you're doing. You have to love the process. Some of them get it and some of them look at me like I'm a very strange old man.
Yeah.
Why is he babbling about this stuff?
I think that's it entirely. I think with pulling, I just loved it so much.
Yeah.
I loved the characters and I loved what Dennis and I were saying, and it was kind of I could have gone on doing that for years, and then I found myself in a situation where I was like, I was writing shows. I'd no idea how I'd sort of gotten myself into that situation, and just the very thought of doing something for years, and because writing is so hard anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you really, really do have to love it.
Oh, when people tell me they love writing, I'm very suspicious. I think the first thing you have to admit is that it's hard.
Yeah.
And it can be miserable. And sitting down and facing a blank page, I can think of few things. I was more miserable. I think I did good work for Saturday Night Live when I was young, but being up at night trying to think of a sketch on that deadline was more terrifying to me than anything I've ever done as a performer.
Yeah, and you get that it's a mad anxiety, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know you've had that too. You've struggled, or you've had, and unfortunately, I've had people say to me, well, when does the anxiety go away? And I've had to break it to them that it's part of the process.
Yeah.
It's the rocket fuel.
Yeah.
You need it. You need to feel bad sometimes in order to feel good. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people telling me, you shouldn't say that. That's not true. I don't see another way around it. I think your anxiety and some level of I don't want to call it self-loathing, but just there's part of you that's saying, come on,
Yeah.
you could do better. You need that. And when people are too content with the writing process, I'm really suspicious.
Oh God, yeah.
Like
Very.
Then you're not,
But-
I don't
but-
want to read it if you had too much fun writing it.
Sometimes sometimes it doesn't feel like you're being truthful or earnest with that, you know, like you're just being a difficult writer person. But yeah, I mean, I'm never happy until I get to the point where it's kind of, it's all done and I've like chiseled it into something that really, I genuinely do feel like I put my all and everything into that, and all the best bits out of everyone on the team has gone into it, you know, all the way across the line. And finally, you know, we've done all that work and it's ready to go. And at that point, I would be happy.
Here's when I'm happy. I'm happy when I know I've got it. It's all on, there's a lot of good stuff on the page, and now I get to edit. That makes me happy. Yeah. Because then it's going through, let's tighten it up a little more. Yeah. Let's tweak this. Maybe this doesn't follow that, so let's move it over here. Because then I know I've got it. Yeah. And now I'm just polishing it. I'm polishing it, but it's not done yet, because once it's done, I start to get a little depressed about what's the next thing. So I like that little period. It's, I don't know if you've had this, but one of my favorite times is when I'm done with the performance and I'm meeting with everybody in the, you know, in the dressing room afterwards, and we're going through the show and talking about everything. And then I know we're going out to dinner and I get to have some wine. That moment when I'm wiping the makeup off, but I know I'm going off to dinner and we're all going to be wise asses, but the show was a success. Yeah. That's a moment that I absolutely adore. Yeah. And I know it's never going to be quite that good again, you know, until I get to the next one. Yeah.
Because it can change on a dime, can't it? You know, like I've had, you know, I've been pretty happy with something and someone's gone in and sort of fiddled with it, and I've watched it and gone, oh, well, it's a load of old shit. I mean, this is clearly a terrible piece of work. And so it doesn't take much for me to sort of lose my confidence. And because I do think there's not a huge amount of difference in, you know, when something's good and great, right? It's just like detail and, you know, trusting yourself and your taste and all that. But I remember back in the day, I found writing, it was a bit of a torture, because I hadn't figured out that thing that you just described there, that you can get it all down and then you start, you know, the work of making it good. Whereas I would like sit there and just like try and wait.
Each word has to be perfect before you write the next word, which doesn't work. Yeah.
Which really doesn't work. And it was actually Dennis Kelly who I learned that off, you know. I don't know who he learned it off, but yeah, just get it all down there. And when you feel like there's some really good stuff in the mix of all the terrible stuff, then you're not in a bad place.
You've done a great job of finding these other people, because I know you met Rob Delaney through Twitter, and you guys, of course, worked together on Catastrophe, and that's how I met you. You came on promoting that, and remember that grabbing my attention and thinking, okay, this person's really special, but you know, finding voices that, you know, I can work with this person. Yeah. This person, I mean, it is, finding a good creative partner is not unlike going on a good date. It's just finding that we've got that frisson, we've got something that connects.
I've been really lucky. I don't know how it's worked out for me, really. I mean, because I make a show in the UK called Motherland, and that is with, you know, co-writers as well. And I don't know. I've just gotten really lucky, I think, because it's a scary thing, isn't it? It's a really scary thing. And, you know, any of my writing partners I've gone through, like, you know, I've lost confidence in myself, you know, where I've found it too hard to sort of say something that I think is funny just because of, you know, just losing my confidence. But it's getting to that place where you feel like an old married couple, where you really don't give a shit, you know, where you will fart in front of them and not be worried, you know, if it smells. That's a metaphor. I don't fart in front of Rob Delaney or Dennis Kelly or.
Well, I think you just said you did, and we've got that now. I'd like to say we've got it on tape, but I know it's all digital. Where do I come from a different time?
But you know that thing of like not being scared. If you say something stupid, you say something not funny.
You know, all the people that I love working with. I love my exercise is what's the worst thing I could do in this situation? what's the and I spin out these wild scenarios of we're here in a restaurant. What's the worst thing I could do that would end me? And it's just something where I make a complete total ass of myself. And I spin it out in great detail and I can always see it perfectly clearly. And people will be laughing at that, and I don't know what it is, but it's this comfort that I can say these horrible things to my friends about what I'm going to do in this restaurant that will finish me forever. And we talk about it, and it's just a joy. It's a joy to have people like that in your life. Tell me about yourself, young girl. Did you know that this was what you're interested in? You're interested in writing, you're interested in creating. Did you know at a young age this is for you, or is it something you figured out later on?
I think I knew at a young age. I knew that I liked to make people laugh because, and that would be, I guess, the big family thing, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So I did very bad impressions and, would do them for my mum and dad. And, I like to write, but I think I thought my path was acting and comedy acting specifically. That was what I was kind of drawn to. And gosh, it just took so long and nothing was happening at all.
I know this about you, and it doesn't make sense to me that it took so long. Because the minute I saw you and saw your work, it just felt like, well, of course, this woman is a big deal. So the concept of you waiting around for any period of time and nobody seeing it seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think I was like 36 or something when I got Pulling, which was our first thing that Dennis Kelly and I wrote. But previous to that. But then I have to say, I think it was also my fault. I think I was just not very good at putting myself out there or I've kind of done a bit of head work on it and thought, well, maybe I was sort of worried about failing or something, so that if I put myself out there and if I tried and I failed, then that's it. And at least if I kept putting it off and just like getting stoned or whatever,
right.
Then maybe I could say, well, I haven't given it a proper go yet,
right, Right.
So possibly that.
Have you done therapy? Have you explored therapy?
I do it more now. Not so much.
Because Freud famously said the only people that are immune to therapy are the Irish.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd like to think he was wrong because I've had a ton of it, but he just thinks that I think he just thought, those Irish, I can't crack them.
Do you know where that, did it just come from him getting a few bad gigs?
I don't know what it was. I don't know where it comes from. I may even be misquoting him, but I've often heard this quote that he said that, the Irish, therapy will work on anyone, not the Irish. And it kind of makes sense to me because all my friends who went and saw Banshees of Inisherin and came away and said, oh my God, what madness, the throwing fingers at the door and the donkey dying and just madness and this ridiculous spat over nothing. And I watched the movie and said, yeah, that adds up. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. So I know you're very busy.
Yeah.
You got twins.
Yes.
Twins who are over 2 now.
They're going to be 2 in July.
It's very easy to find yourself doing things for other people or trying to be really productive and get a lot done and take care of everybody. I know you're a caretaking personality.
Yeah,
I am.
So are you.
And what happens sometimes is you realize I haven't checked in on myself. I have no clue how I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because I'm a big believer in talk therapy. If you can find the right fit, right person, and getting help. It's made a huge difference in my life. And in some ways, I've been your therapist over the years.
You have been. You've been, and I think that it's
you
very
didn't want
easy
to pay
person
a
to
real
talk
therapist.
to. I don't want to pay someone, so I figured if I could just talk to you, I'll just do it for free. But it is important to talk to someone.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, maybe give BetterHelp a try. Here's what I like about BetterHelp: it's entirely online. This didn't exist back in the day when I was maybe looking for someone to talk to. And it's such a smart way to get involved in this process. BetterHelp is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Find more balance with BetterHelp. I really think this is a terrific idea. Visit betterhelp.com/Conan today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Conan. But yeah, it is interesting.
We had confession, I suppose.
Right.
You know, you just go into a little box and say everything you did wrong. I mean, I think that's how I do therapy, really. I mean, I always assume I'm doing it wrong anyway. Isn't it really just someone making you feel okay about your bad choices?
Yes. It is. You're paying someone to say, you know,
I would
plenty of people abandon their family and go on a 9-day cocaine binge in Las Vegas and then shoot up a hotel and then
kill a prostitute.
Yeah, exactly. Kill a prostitute.
But then in Ireland, they'd say, are you sorry? You'd say yes, and then you get some
6 Hail
prayers
Marys
to say, and then you're all like, you got a clean slate.
Yeah, I haven't been to confession in a long time, but I remembered thinking, what metric are they using to figure out how many Hail Marys, how many?
I don't know.
And it was so specific. Like, well, I got this rental car and I scraped it up a bit, but then I covered it with whiteout, and they're like, oh yeah. That would be 4 Our Fathers and 6 Hail Marys.
Yeah.
And then you'd say, oh, and on the way back, I ran into a whole bunch of people at a crosswalk and fled the scene. Okay, 7 Hail Marys.
Yeah.
At what point do they just call the police?
No. I mean, I haven't been to... I stopped confession quite young, actually, because it did freak me out.
It's scary.
I found it very scary, and I remember telling my mum that I found it scary, and she's very sweet about it because she's a pretty religious lady, and so I said, look, I'll keep going to mass, but I don't want to do the confession thing. I went to convent school, the Sacred Heart, and they would do big confession like galas. Where in our sports hall, like all priests from all around the area, and I don't know, maybe there was a couple of cardinals, or they would fill the hall, and we would all they'd be all like situated at different spots, and you'd get into these big queues. All the students would be in the middle, and you get into these queues, and you'd be like, oh, which priest am I going to get?
And you'd make your way up, and then you would confess to them?
And then you would confess, and it was kind of felt a bit out in the open because, you're not in a box like you normally are.
That's so insane. I mean, in this country, what you were describing is a pep rally. It's an event where people get together and go team, and maybe there's some punch or a prom. And you guys turned it into you queue up to talk to a priest about something terrible
about
you've
your
done.
sins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But drinks are served, I'm hoping.
Well, when you're little and you do it, you end up making them up. Like I would.
That's what I did.
Would lie.
I always
about
made
my
them up.
sins.
Yeah.
Because you're just a kid. I mean, you don't really do any bad shit when you're a kid. I mean, apart from, obviously there's some evil children out there.
Yeah.
But
no, but there's. It's funny you say that because I distinctly remember making things up. And sometimes I got too creative, and I'd say, I forged a banknote, and they'd be like, I'm 8, I committed wire fraud. I would say things just to try and, that I had heard about that I didn't know.
Or you'd use things you'd read, like there was a pie cooling by the open window.
The year was 1932, and I stole a pie from a cooling window and then lived down by the train tracks and ate beans out of a can. It would be inspiring for people to know a lot of artists, actors, writers struggle, but you were really living on the edge for a while when you were starting out, meaning more or less squatting in places to because you couldn't make rent. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, I squatted for about, I think it was about 3.5 years.
Good God.
But, and it might have been longer. I think I was in one place for 3.5 years, and then I sort of squatted in a few other areas around London, so it was probably a bit longer than that. But it was a bit of a lifestyle thing as well, you know. I mean, I had a job, and I just wasn't. Clearly I wasn't in the industry at that point. I was working in Kilburn, actually, the most Irish place in London that I could possibly find, and I was working in a job centre, so I didn't earn very much, but I definitely earned enough for rent. It was kind of a
bohemian choice, maybe.
I think it was a bit of a bohemian choice. Like I arrived in London with like 90 quid, so I couldn't afford rent when I came over first, but then I got a job, but at that point I was just part of this this sort of lifestyle, I guess. Loads of Irish people, and you would there was a lot of we lived in a high-rise flat, and we occupied an apartment on the 18th floor that was furnished with stuff that we found on the street, and it was kind of fun. I mean, the when I stopped doing it, I squatted this sort of disused shop in Camden, and we got like, the heavies came round, because really it was legal at the time, as long as you got into the building and you didn't cause any damage, or if you did, if you
it wasn't a big
in,
deal necessarily.
Wasn't a big deal. You had like squatters' rights. But then if you squatted a property that was private, and the landlord knew a few lads with baseball bats, then it wasn't great. So that's what happened. They kind of like rushed us.
Please tell me you're staying at a hotel here in New York. I love the idea that you would win the BAFTA, give a speech, leave the theater or the auditorium with all the flash bulbs and the cheers and then go out to an alley and lie down.
No,
Old habits die hard.
I have a home now, and yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to determine that. That's good. I just was worried about you.
Good.
I do worry. You're such I'll use the word impeccable. I think your writing is impeccable. You're such a great, terrific writer. And I know I started as a writer and struggled with this transition into performing. I knew it's what I wanted to do, but had trouble figuring out what's my path.
Right.
You said that initially you thought of yourself as someone who would be in front of the camera, but at what point do you realize I can write? I have a superpower here.
God, I don't know, like really, really recently, because I think I really do think if you start out as a performer, you sort of you continue to see yourself as that, and you feel a bit cheeky calling yourself a writer. So you'd be like, I'm an actor and I do a bit of writing, and because because it was something I sort of learnt on the job, and I had a lot of great people along the way who taught me how to be better. I felt like I was kind of, I kind of felt it was down to them, and I kind of felt like if I was sort of just cast away on my own, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I just sort of built this thing in my head, and so I really just had to start, I really just had to start doing it on my own before I even remotely considered myself to be a writer, and then I just had to build up confidence with that and do it a few times, and then realize that that the shows I make, the people like them, and it's not a fluke. Like you just convince yourself it was a fluke.
We said your initial show, you have the success, and then it's not followed up right away. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
With Pulling, it's just it was, which maybe rattles the confidence a little bit. Was that just a one-off? Was that just all I had in the tank?
I absolutely thought that was a one-off, and I got really, really lucky with Pulling, because I started in sketch comedy, and there was kind of a team of us, and I really enjoyed that. But then once I started writing sitcom, once I started writing characters and narrative, I thought, well, no, this is everything. This is all I want to do now. Yeah. But I got really lucky with Dennis. We were really close friends at the time anyway, and we both had these really similar life experience and sort of take on the world. And but Dennis is probably a bona fide genius, and I kind of relied on him quite a lot.
This is Dennis Kelly.
Dennis Kelly,
Yeah.
who wrote Matilda, the musical, and Utopia, and
yeah, he's a brilliant fellow.
He's absolutely brilliant. And so, well, and you know, we couldn't have done it without each other, but
Right.
I did feel like I relied on him very heavily, and then, you know, we parted ways because we were you know, he didn't want to be just writing for me for the rest of his life.
Right.
And he had stuff to do. And so I started out, you know, just trying to go it alone. And so, you know, I wrote loads of pilots and,
Yeah.
you know, just got on this conveyor belt of making pilot over here, like in LA, like. Thought, oh well, I'll make my fortune over here, and there was this thing that I'd never experienced in the UK of it being like a success to get a pilot, to make a pilot, and you know, that whole thing of, you know, everyone gets on the phone and they tell you they're going to pick up your pilot.
Excitement. Everyone loves it.
Yeah, and then you know, it doesn't get made into anything, but that's not considered failing, really. Like you come over the next year and you have another go and you got another pilot and everyone's like, hey. And whereas I just felt like I was kind of going around in circles for, 5 years at least, just and also I had this thing where I was kind of making pilots that were ending up as something that I didn't, even if they'd got picked up, I would have been like, I don't want to make that.
Yeah.
You know, because it changes.
You get your notes.
You get your
change
notes,
things a
and
little bit, and then
especially if you're new, if you're a bit of a rookie, you're kind of going, you know, they do that thing where they say, well, if you make this change, it's just for the sales tool. It's just, you know, we'll make this change. We'll add the voiceover. It won't be like that in the series. We'll just add a voiceover across the whole thing.
Right.
And then in series we, you know, and so you kind of get caught up in that a bit, and you make all these changes and you end up with something that isn't remotely like, you know, the thing you sort of hoped it would be.
Hi, my name is Patrick Stewart, and you know, I always would like to do that as if I were on, you know, the radio.
Okay. That's please.
Hello, my name is Patrick Stewart. Is that how it always falls away, doesn't it? Anyway, and I am so delighted and honored to be here, because the last time we could have done this, I wasn't available.
That's true.
And you remember?
I do.
Have you held it against me?
No, I haven't held it against you. You said you weren't available, and I said, that's too bad. And it was all planned and we were ready to go. And then I walked down the street and I saw you eating a delicious meal in a restaurant.
Oh, no.
I thought, that asshole. And you saw me and I saw you duck down underneath the table. No, it was not your fault. You couldn't make it, but you're here now. And I'm sure you're delighted to be Conan O'Brien's friend.
Oh, yes, of course. I knew I'd missed something. But I thought, no, that's not important.
That's a Freudian slip. That's what we call that, a Freudian slip. You've got to keep all of
That's
this. It's
wonderful.
fantastic.
Yeah. And I feel proud, happy, honored to be Conan O'Brien's friend and guest.
God bless you, sir. God bless you. I'm going to start by saying something I don't get to say often, which is, I think one of the last times I saw you, we kissed full on the lips. It was on my show, and I forget how it happened. Something was in the air that night.
Come here!
I've only kissed 2 men full on the lips. One was you. The other was Mr. Ryan Reynolds.
You wrote me?
Yes! It wasn't over. It still isn't.
we did a piece where we did a parody of The Notebook.
Pretty good track record.
And yes, I am killing it with the fellas.
And
but
how do we compare?
Well, okay, I'll say this: my soul left my body. It was an incredible experience to kiss you. You came around to my desk, and you grabbed my head, and it was a powerful kiss, passionate.
Yeah, well, I think I wanted to demonstrate the authenticity of my feelings, and this I think
that's what I
was
told the
because
police. Yeah,
of what. This is what something had happened between Ian McCullen and myself.
Yes,
which included a kiss on the lips.
Yeah.
And I think you brought that up and something about, nobody has ever kissed you like that. And man, here we go.
Here we go. No, it was so fantastic. I just put it out there, not thinking this is where we'd go. And suddenly this man was up on his feet. He came around. He swept me off my feet. Powerful kiss.
It's taking everything in my power not to say I've never been kissed like that.
Yeah.
I won't.
Don't go near him. I'm putting up a salad guard between the two of you.
You got in. Your physicality changed. Like you were gonna do it, and then I got. Oh, it's so excited.
Patrick Stewart was like a cobra rising up, looking at you. Do I? Do I not? But I have to say the one difference with Ryan Reynolds is he has a technique, I guess. We're kissing, and it was a longer kiss.
Yes.
And you can look at it on video. It's the parody of The Notebook. He reaches over, and he started fondling my ear.
Oh.
And I thought, I just got a weird peek into Blake Lively's life at this moment. It's very strange. Anyway, welcome. Thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Conan.
You are a consummate actor. You've got, I believe, the greatest voice in the world. You've accomplished so much in your life, and you've also written this book. And you have lived a life. I will say that. You have lived an incredible life, and you've written about it beautifully in this book, which tells your story. And there's so much in here that I didn't know, starting with your childhood. You're such a good actor. You've gone through this transformation that I would never in a million years believe that you came from the North, from very little means. I don't know how else to say it. What you would call, I think you referred to it in your book as sort of the Rust Belt of England.
Mm-hmm.
What's this area? What's it called?
Well, it was the West Riding of Yorkshire, which is a kind of division of Yorkshire. It's such a big county. Mm-hmm. It's the Texas of the UK.
Right.
And that it was divided into North Yorkshire, West Yorkshire, and East Yorkshire. And then Margaret Thatcher came along, and she created South Yorkshire. Mm-hmm. I think she was actually made Queen of South Yorkshire. I'm not quite sure of that. but she was. But it's well known as an industrial centre. Sheffield, of course, which was only a few miles away from where I grew up, was the steel centre of England, probably of Europe at the time.
But you talk about a childhood that's, and again, it's you cannot judge a book by its cover, but I would have thought, well, Sir Patrick Stewart, posh upbringing, posh education, silver spoon in his mouth. Those are the assumptions that I would have made. And you just have to learn this lesson again and again and again in your life. You had, in a lot of ways, a Victorian childhood. You had a child, and you talk about this in your book.
Because that's what my wife has named it. My wife is an American from Nevada, and she will say to people, if they're asking me about how I grew up for the first time, she will say, "Oh, he might as well have been living in the 19th century."
Right. It's like Dickensian.
It was Dickensian, yeah. And
I mean, you talk about first of all, no money, the very toilet outside that you share with neighbors, and sort of an outbuilding.
Not quite. The building had 4 toilets in it, but each family had their own toilet. Now, it was just a toilet. That was all. And there was no lighting, no heating, no running water except to flush the toilet. Yeah. And because we lived in what was called in our neighborhood a one up, one down, there was one room downstairs. You stepped in off the pavement, sidewalk, and you were in the living room of the house, and there wasn't anything else. There was a cellar downstairs, and you went upstairs, and there was one room upstairs. So one up, one down. And it was very, very basic.
Yeah.
I mean, the toilet aspect of it just being one of them. And it wasn't really until I went to secondary modern school, because I was not academic.
You're whispering, but there's still a very powerful microphone. You're whispering into a microphone.
Not academic.
No one must know.
And so we had no shower, we had no bath. What happened on a Friday evening was that my brother my brother was 5 years older than me. I had another brother, but he was 17 years older than me, so he was gone. We would carry this zinc bath up from the cellar. I mean, my father told us to do this. It was our job on a Friday evening. And we would have a big boiler that stood in the middle of the floor, a gas boiler, and that would boil the water for the bath. Then we would ladle the water out of the gas boiler into the bath. And the first person to take the bath would be my father, because Friday night was the beginning of the weekend, which was often not a good thing in my house.
Yeah.
But and then there was a whole complicated evening in which my elder brother would bathe in the same water that my father had used while the water was heating up again. Then he would empty that, and because he was made to do that, then he could leave for a Friday night himself, even though he was only 10 or 11. And then we emptied pailed the water. Actually, no, we didn't. We had a rubber tube, and we put the end of the rubber tube in the bath.
Oh my God.
And I would suck it up, which always meant that you inevitably.
This is getting worse and worse and worse.
Do you want to change the subject?
No.
No, go ahead.
I could go downhill, or I could
Go downhill.
Down.
Please, you're on the Downhill podcast now. This podcast's original name was The Downhill. You talk about, and this is a fascinating part, and when you're a teenager, this would be traumatic for a lot of people. You start going bald as a teenager, and you're completely bald, you said, almost by the age 19, 20, 21, somewhere around there. Yeah. And you just decided, I'm going to make this work for me, because you realized that I'm wigs. I'm the perfect, I can wear any wig in the world now because I am an actor and I play different parts. Yeah. To make that an asset it has been to figure that out. I think it's such a big thing in life when you're dealt a certain card to say, I'm going to make this work for me, and it has worked beautifully.
Yes, it has. It nevertheless wasn't easy in my late teens to find that I was losing my hair, and I lost it so quickly. And I come from a family of bald men. Mm-hmm. My brothers, my father, my grandfather. Actually, no. Freedom had hair, a lot of hair. His name was Freedom Barraclough. Now, that's Victorian, if ever there was.
That's fantastic.
Pardon?
That's fantastic.
It is, yes. Yeah. But one of the things I very quickly realized, because I'm quite interested in economics, Brent Spiner calls it my poverty mentality. Mm-hmm. He said, you were poor when you were little, and you've never, ever got past that point. Part of you is still stuck in the poverty region. And I think that he was right. And so losing my hair felt like a failure. Mm-hmm. And also, dating.
Yeah.
Who wants to go out with an 18-year-old who's just got a few... And I used to do all this combing it over, And then one day, a director I was working with, who was very, very conscious of costs, said to me, oh, no. You're two actors for the price of one.
Oh, my God.
These are
okay.
Yeah, that's right. With wigs, we can get 3 roles out of you.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Exactly. And I've had some sensational wigs in my lifetime, really, because they say the wig maker says you were born to wear wigs. Maybe it's not the biggest compliment.
You were born to wear a mask. What?
Right.
So you're moving up in the world. You're making your way. You move to London, and there's a part in the book because you had led this very sheltered life in Muirfield, and you'd been taught all these stereotypes. And one of the stereotypes you'd been taught was don't trust the Irish. And you move into a flat, and there's some Irishmen.
No, it was a lodging house.
Lodging house. Okay. First of all, I still believe don't trust the Irish.
Yeah, solid advice.
And I'm 100%. So you come to this wonderful revelation that no, that's wrong. These are wonderful people. I think whoever told you don't trust the Irish was spot on. But we'll let that go for now. I'm glad you had a good experience with them.
I had a wonderful experience. They were all young men. They'd mostly come from the west coast of Ireland, because they needed work. Yeah. At that time, in the late 40s, there was a job shortage, significant one, and people were dying because they couldn't feed themselves.
Right.
And all these young guys had come over to London to get work, and they were all working on building sites. They were laborers. Nobody was a skilled constructor. They were laborers. And they welcomed me into I shared a bedroom with one. It was 2 in single beds.
Yeah.
And over the first night when we had dinner, one of them, he introduced me to everyone around. They were all Irish. And he said, listen, when dinner's over, we go out because there's a pub round the corner that's very Irish friendly. And he said, your name is Patrick. I mean, it couldn't be better. We can introduce you to anyone.
Put on this leprechaun wig.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
You had this experience that, I think is absolutely mind-blowing. You were in a production in London with the great Vivien Leigh, and you became friendly with her. And at one point, they are showing Gone with the Wind. This is many years later, but they're showing the film Gone with the Wind.
It was a
re-release.
A new release, that had been smartened up and tidied up and given new technology.
And because you're friendly, she invites you to attend with her, and you sit next to Vivien Leigh. You sit next to Scarlett O'Hara as you watch Gone with the Wind, which is an experience that I'll never meet anyone else who's had that experience. It's absolutely, it's sitting with Orson Welles and watching Citizen Kane, and you said she, at some point, you could see that she was crying.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, and by the way, just to get the seating layout proper, I was on her left side. On her right side was her boyfriend, who was a leading actor in the company we were working for, which was the London Old Vic Company, on tour. We were only on tour. We didn't ever play in London. And, first of all, this invitation was wonderful. The reason being that I was the humblest member of the company. I had been a last-minute inclusion. 2 days before rehearsals began, I got this offer. And the producer, the working hands-on producer, was a very unpleasant individual. He chose me as his one to go for. And he did once say in front of the whole company, Patrick, we're doing this in honor of billing, and you're at the bottom. So sit down. You wouldn't get away with that today.
I try, but no, you can't.
Yeah. Is that
Quiet, you.
Oh, he called me barely adequate the other day. He called me barely adequate.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it was in a review.
Well, you know,
for the London Times.
Look what happened to me.
Yeah. You're going places.
Oh, yes.
Could be a testimonial.
Oh, my God. You've finally given me something to live for. Oh.
So you're at this production.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry,
and
the
we're
screening.
sitting side by side, and I am so excited and thrilled and proud to be sitting alongside her. By the way, in a dinner jacket, because we've been told, by the way, when you go on this tour, you must have dinner jackets. There'll be a lot of formal parties. Dinner jacket. I'd never owned a dinner jacket. And I went to look, and I couldn't possibly afford one. They were so expensive. But on Charing Cross Road, there was a used garment, men's used garment shop. And I went in, and there was this tuxedo. And I don't know what it was made of, but it looked like a blanket. And it was huge. And
I think it was a blanket. I think you got conned there.
A slanket.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting on one side of her, and her gorgeous boyfriend was sitting on the other side of her, wearing a fabulous, expensive suit. And I saw that she was touching her face quite often. And then finally, she turned to me and she took my hand and she said, "Patrick, I'm going to have to leave. This is so upsetting. You see, so many of these lovely people I worked with are dead. And it's upsetting me so much. So thanks for sharing this. I hope you enjoy the night." And she got up and she and John walked out. And I was so touched. She could have just left. She didn't have to say, "Thank you for coming, and it's very good of you," and explain to me why she was crying. She was a superstar.
Oh, God, yeah.
Of her day. There was no actress today that's ever been bigger than Vivian was. And 2 Academy Awards, I think, as well. It wasn't just that she was fabulous looking or that she was a very, very nice person, but she had a temper.
Yeah.
I saw her once. There was a wonderful actress who I cannot name, but she is dead too, who was playing a character and she had a leading role, very important roles. And during the curtain call one night, she was on one side of Vivian and John was on the other side. I was at the back on another row. Mm-hmm. And as this other actress leaned forward, I heard her say something to the other person who was leaning forward with her. I didn't hear what it said, but as she was standing up, Vivian, who had just been presented with a bouquet of flowers, lifted it up and hit her across the face with the bouquet of flowers.
For speaking.
Yes. But apparently she had said something that Vivian didn't like. And she erupted. Then later on, we learned that she had illnesses. Yeah. And they were very problematic. And indeed, I think 8 years later, she died of this.
I believe she might have had tuberculosis or something like that. Yes. I think it was a lung issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she also had, what do they call that thing that goes up and down? Anyway, she had it. So she had bad couple of days and a week of wonderful days and then a bad couple of days. And when she was having the bad days, you know what? We're talking about Vivian.
Oh, you're talking about mental illness.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The bipolar disease.
Bipolar.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Which never showed in her work. Anyway, it was a great privilege to have known her, and she was so kind. And I celebrated my 21st birthday through a party, and she came to it.
Oh, my God.
None of the other producers did, but Vivian came, and she gave me a golden cotton handkerchief, which she had sprinkled with the perfume that she always wore. She only wore one perfume, which was called Joy by Patou. And it was wonderful. And for years, I could breathe Vivian in from the handkerchief that she'd given me. And then I moved and went different places. And about 2 years ago, I found it.
Yes. Oh, good. I was going to say, if this thing is missing,
Oh, wow.
Does
I'm
it
walking
still
out
smell?
now.
Does it still smell?
No.
Oh.
The smell was gone, but the memories were still in place.
We could get some jupe.
Yes, I was
Oh,
just thinking that.
no. Oh, no.
It's, you don't want to talk about it's
No.
cologne that men wear. I wore it once. You talk about how when you grow up in this situation, you often don't have, people would assume, well, a young Sir Patrick Stewart would have big dreams. You didn't initially. You thought, oh, I guess I'll be a lorry driver, a truck driver.
Yep.
Because you look at your world and you think this is what's possible.
Yep.
And then what changed? What came along that made you think the theater? Because the theater is really your passion in life. You've had obviously so much success, television and film, but it's really the theater has been the dynamo in your life.
What happened was a man called Cecil Dormand. He was my English teacher in my secondary modern school because I was totally not academic. In fact, you at the age of 11, you could go to grammar school, which meant that you had an academic potential, or you went to what was known as secondary modern school. And on the day of the exam, I was just half a mile away from the school where the exam was being held. Just before you got there was a T-junction. And turn right, and 200 yards away was the school. Turn left, and you go down the hill into the valley where Murfield was built around the River Calder, and the railway lines, and the canal, because we had canal barges. And then once you'd crossed them, you would climb up at the beginning of the dales on the other side, and you could look down onto the town from up there. And that's where I went. I turned left and not right. Actually, I've been turning left all my life.
Yeah.
Which is both funny and not. But so I didn't take the exam. And so I was never tested. But I went into secondary modern school, and in my second year, the English master, Cecil Dormand, I did something, read something in a class, and I saw him pay attention. And he was the first person to put a copy of Shakespeare into my hand. I never held a copy of Shakespeare in my hand. And it was just a surprise one day in the English class. And he was handing out these books, slim little books, and said, all right, this is Act 4, Scene 1. And, okay, you're playing Portia, you're playing Bassanio, you're playing Orlando, and Patrick, finally, you're Shylock.
Wow.
And we read this scene, and my character didn't speak for half a page or so. And then he had a speech of about 40 lines, which is one of the most famous speeches in Shakespeare. And I had no idea what I was saying. I was trying to say the words, though most of them I didn't understand. And yet, something happened. I made a connection. I loved pronouncing these words. I was never, I'd never spoken a language like that out loud. I mean, I hadn't even spoken English when I was a child. I spoke not just with an accent, I spoke dialect.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want an instance?
Yeah, I do.
This is my favorite. If I go to a neighbor's house to ask if the lad my age is coming out, for kick a ball around and everything, when he came to the door, I would say to him, "At a lake and out."
What?
At a lake and out.
At a lake and out.
Atta art thou, because when I was growing up, we said thee and thou, not because we were religious at all, but it was just the way, working class West Riding people spoke.
Yeah.
Atta art thou, lakin. Now, this is the amazing thing. In Shakespeare's day, actors were also known as lakers. And the word I was using was playing, Lakers stood in for playing. Atta, are you, Lakin, playing, at, out.
Oh my.
That's a Lakin out.
And it's funny, and you didn't know the derivation of any of this. You just know that's what it is. You just are saying you don't know what any of this is coming from.
No, nothing at all. But the moment came when a second teacher, who was my book is dedicated to these two people, Cecil Dormand and Ruth Wynne Owen, who was a retired professional actress, now living with her husband in Yorkshire and teaching. And she said to me one day, you know, Patrick, if you really are enthusiastic about performing, you've got to lose that accent. Mm. And so I started the next day, right away. And for several years, I spoke with one accent at weekends when I was going to my drama classes, and one accent Monday to Friday when I was in school. Because if I talked like that in the classroom, whack! I would have got thumped, you know.
No, the other kids don't take kindly to that. Gentlemen and kind women.
Who the fuck does the think thou art? Sorry. Dot.
I believe it's time for my jelly and peanut butter. It's fascinating to me that the objective was always the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yes.
And you were not interested, you had no ambitions in television, you didn't have ambition in film. And then, you know, you're doing quite well, you've achieved your dream, and then at the age of, I believe, 45, 46, this possibility of this Star Trek show, because you bring up Jean-Luc Picard, this comes along, and what I always found fascinating, and you verify in the book, is you approached this as a Shakespearean role. You took it, which I think is brilliant. You said, oh, this is a television show, and this is part of a generation of, there's another Star Trek. I'm going to approach this as if it's Lear or Hamlet. That's the seriousness with which I'm going to take this. And it certainly served you well.
It did, but it also made me comfortable because I was familiar with that. However, when I came to review the first season of Next Generation, I wasn't altogether happy with the work I'd done. I thought it was too internal, too restrained, too solitary, too unconnected with the others. So I resolved that from the start of the second season, I would begin to open him up and let him out. Mm-hmm. And that continued for 7 years. 7 years. And 4 movies, and then 3 seasons of Picard, which only wrapped about 15 months ago.
It feels like you started to let yourself have more fun. Is that what it is?
One of my favorite moments in the book is telling this, because I haven't told it to many people, that halfway through the first season of Next Generation, and we were a wonderful group of actors. I fell for Jonathan and Brent and Marina and Gates and all of them very sudden, and LeVar and Michael. I mustn't leave anybody out. That's it. That's a whole lot. And Whoopi when she joined us.
Yeah.
And one day I called a meeting because I had thought, I'm captain of the Enterprise. But because I'd led companies in the theater, I felt this should be my role here. I'm a leader, not just of Starfleet, but of this band of people who are working these endless days, 12, 14, sometimes 16-hour days to get all this done. So I called this meeting and I said, all right, listen, what it seems to me people don't understand is that there are 2 sets of work going on here. There's the work we do and the time off that we get occasionally and, a day, a long weekend. And then there's the rest of the crew and people in the office who are here every single day and working brutal hours. We have got to make their lives easier. And the problem is we are having too much fun.
Every Christmas season, it's the same thing. Demands for more podcast episode comes in, and we've got to meet those demands. We got to mail out those podcasts. We got to get them in the mail.
Oh, I didn't
Well, guess
know
what?
about
With
that.
Stamps.com, all you need is a computer and printer. Then you're ready for that holiday rush. You know what I'm saying? No, I just remember last year when we were stuffing podcasts into envelopes and licking them and putting on the stamps. It was crazy in here.
Yeah.
No
we were
more,
working
not
so
with Stamps.com. They even send you a free scale so you have everything you need to get started. Because whenever I go to mail stuff out, I'm like, where's my scale? Well, they got the scale ready there for you. Now, taking care of orders on the go is even easier with the Stamps.com mobile app. If you need a package pickup, you can easily schedule it through your Stamps.com dashboard. And if you sell products online, Stamps.com seamlessly connects with every major marketplace and shopping cart. Get your business ready for the holiday rush. Get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up at Stamps.com/Conan for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com/Conan.
That was the phrase that has still not left me today.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard Jonathan Frakes say it to me. Yeah, I'm sorry, we're having too much fun.
But you got over it. That was your instinct, and you got over it.
Yes, because it was limiting.
Yes.
Restricting, you know. And the older I get, as I hope in part this conversation has illustrated, I get looser. And I attach things that are inside myself to my outside life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, you know.
Well, there's there's an unclenching that can happen. That's the way I feel of it. That I feel about it, which is even though we're star years apart, light years apart in so many ways, there's my early years where I've got a tight grip, and I am just determined, so determined in so many ways. And then I find over time, there's this acceptance of flaws, of acceptance of my flaws, acceptance of how silly this all is. And I started to have a lot more fun. And that's revelatory, because the younger me would say, well, if you're having fun, the work can't be good. And it's bullshit. It's completely untrue. And I was intimidated the first time that you came on the program. I remembered I'd not met you, and I just know you by this man, Royal Shakespeare Company, and so accomplished, and who am I to talk to him? And you were funny and delightful and self-deprecating and silly. And I think that was a real gift. That was a real gift to see that if someone who's accomplished all this can let go a little bit, that's a great gift to give to people.
Thank you.
You had a background that probably a lot of fans of yours aren't even completely aware of, which is you're born in England.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad's white, your mom's black.
Mm-hmm.
She's into she's an incredible fashion person who's designing clothes for David Bowie, all these fascinating people. And you come from this, and then you moved to California.
Well, no, I moved to California when I was like really young, 6 years old.
Right.
So my mom, basically, she was based in Los Angeles. My dad's in England. She had gone to Paris. They met over there, and then my dad was dying to get out of England.
Right.
Didn't get along with his folks, and so we moved to Los Angeles because that's where her work was, and then he started working in LA.
But it's this fascinating sort of combination of, first of all, it's a literal melting pot of cultures, but also fashion. That's always been part, I think, of the look was always important to you as well as the sound. Is that fair to say?
Well, I mean, I was very aware of clothes, obviously, because that was what she was into.
Mm-hmm.
For me, though, I mean, I guess a look is. I mean, I always wore t-shirts and jeans. I haven't changed my sort of fashion structure since I was 6.
Right.
So I don't know if fashion was so much the thing, but I definitely was aware of the fact that you have to have some sort of a persona or an image, because all the people that she worked with, when I was a kid growing up, I was always around it. And these people were all bigger than life. So there was definitely an entertainment, because she worked in the entertainment business on all facets, from TV people to musicians and everything in between. They all had this amazing presence, whether it was the clothes or whether they were just really outspoken or whether they were really flamboyant, the way that, whatever. So I was aware of that. And I don't know if I applied it to myself, but I was aware of it.
You just, certainly, I never knew that your iconic hat was something that you. Just also want to point out that Slash is drinking from an iced coffee. He's not rolling dice. We're playing a game of craps while we talk. But like the hat was, and I can relate to this a little bit because I know it was just kind of almost an accident. You shoplifted. Totally, yeah. You shoplifted the hat.
Yeah, I sold it from a place called Retail Slut on Melrose.
Let's give a shout out to Retail Slut.
I remember this because
it's run by Enid Slut, by the way.
There was
just her name.
2 stores. There was Leathers and Treasures and Retail Slut next door. And Tammy Downs, the singer from a band called Faster Pussycat, used to work at Retail Slut. So that's how I remember the name of it. And I went in there and I didn't have any money, and I always used to wear some sort of a hat. It was just part of the sort of completed whatever look you had going on. You had to have a lid. And I went in there and I just saw the top hat and it just spoke to me, I guess, and so I was like, okay, so I just, I figured, what the fuck? I just walk out with it and see what happens, And so I did. And then I went next door to Leathers and Treasures and I stole a concho belt, and then went back to the apartment me and Axel were living in at the time. And we had a show at the Whiskey that night. So I took the concho belt and I cut it up and I put it around the hat and I wore it for that night. But it just became a thing where I really identified with it. Like I wore it all the time. Yeah. And it was a way you pull it over your eyes. You could hide behind it if you were really high. Or it was great for bad hair days. I had no intention of it being this long-term thing.
Well, I think nothing starts that way, but you start wearing the hat and then it becomes this thing that you probably, tell me if this has ever happened, and you have to be honest. You walk in, okay? You have to be honest.
Okay.
You go into a restaurant. They're having a real busy night. It's a nice restaurant. You say, hey, I didn't make a reservation ahead of time, but it's 2. You've got room for us. And they say, I'm sorry, we're very full right now. We can't help you out. And you go, I'll be right back. And you go out to the car, and in the back seat, you open the case and you take out the hat and you put it on and you walk back in and go, I'd like a reservation for 2. And they go, right this way.
No, I've never.
Has that ever happened?
No, that's never happened.
Okay.
But I tell you, when it does, I'll let you know.
I want to ask a question, and it's not a rhetorical question and it's not a criticism. Why do you think it is that there's the largest community of people who have hurt my feelings at parties over the years have been related to SNL?
Oh, is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What is it about the SNL experience? And I'm being very open-minded about it because it can't be this sort of ad hoc thing where everyone at SNL is just a little pathological. What goes on at SNL? Is it the fraternity that when you do see someone from SNL at a party, do you know what I'm talking? First of all, I
want to go into I want to do a little bit of forensics before I proceed, which is how most comedians talk. Make sure you're fully anesthetized. You don't have to name names, but are you talking about performers?
Both.
And writers?
No, not writers as much. Performers. Let's just say performers.
Okay.
Right. I don't want to get too specific. And it's not evil. It's not pointedly
It feels knee-jerk to you. It feels almost reflexive.
It feels like a coldness because I'm open. I show up open, and I show up with the weird expectation other people are going to meet me there.
Yeah.
And there is this sort of pull away, this sort of, if it's almost like someone on SNL has a difficult time pretending to be interested if
Yes.
they're not. Does that check out?
I think it's a couple of things. I mean, it depends. I wouldn't make a blanket statement about like all SNL
And I don't
people.
mean to. I don't want to. I'm just saying,
because
of the people who I've left going, I feel like I hyperextended and I fell in front of them, or that they walked away and weren't interested. Is that just my love of SNL?
Well, possibly. I think there's something in comedy, and maybe it's particular to SNL because it's a two-way street here. First of all, this wouldn't happen to you if you didn't put maybe SNL on a pedestal.
I think that's part of it.
So part of the problem is maybe you putting other people on a pedestal. That's where I've been sometimes hurt before. There is a thing which is there's a too cool for school philosophy that can thrive at SNL. I've known obviously wonderful, great people there, but it is not one of the things I think that makes SNL actually really good or has helped it endure all these years is that there's a limited amount of real estate to get stuff on the show. And you think about it, it's really dictated by it's a live show. Mm-hmm. So there's only so much physical real estate in Studio 8H, mm-hmm. and they can only get so much show on every week, and there is a competition to get your sketch on. And so at the end of the day, you're competing with other people in the room. Now, that's just the way the show is set up, and I saw a lot of lovely collaboration when I was there, and you can also see a very competitive, someone giving you putting their shoulder into yours like it's hockey, mm-hmm. and you think, Jesus, what's this? SNL is a very specific environment, and I think it's possible that there's a kind of maybe toughness there that it can breed. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I wondered if it was because they're so deep in the trenches together that if you're not someone they recognize from the trenches, you can kind of feel it. If, like to your point, if they weren't huddled together in 8H, having this experience that is so bonding with the people who are either writing for the show weekly or like friend of show, mm-hmm. or I represent something kind of anti-comedy because I'm the tall musician guy or something. I can't quite figure it out, but I hope this is more interesting than it feels like an indictment or me talking shit
No, it's
about
not
it.
an indictment of
I'm
SNL.
curious.
It's like, this is an experience that you've had where you've felt like you've encountered comedians, and that's a tough place.
Yeah.
That's not always the most comfortable terrarium, and anyone who worked at SNL would tell you that. So I would contrast it, say, with there are other shows I've worked on, like The Simpsons, where the only way the show gets done is if everybody works together. Mm-hmm. And so if this room right now is a Simpsons writing room, I'd be praying, if we were stuck on a line for Marge, I would be praying that you came up with it, or Matt or Sona or Edward. I'd be like thinking, oh my God, someone get it, because then we can go home.
Right.
And that wasn't always the way at SNL, because SNL felt more like I joined the Marines. And it was really scary, and I got yelled at, and I had to do push-ups.
This would check out.
But I say that with a huge caveat, because I've talked about SNL before, and I think sometimes it's been misrepresented. I loved that job, and that job changed my life, and I learned a shit ton there, and I wouldn't change a thing. So at the same time, it's both.
Yeah,
it's both.
And mark the out point where we would edit this, because sometimes my curiosity.
You're making my job easier. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes my curiosity sounds like this very kind of shrouded criticism of something, but it's really me going,
else?
what is it?
But can I say something else that is...
I'm on Conan's podcast, and he asked me if he could say something else. Yeah. Permission granted, Conan.
I'm sorry. I just remembered you playing Buckets of Rain, and my penis went up inside my lungs.
Come on.
Which is quite a void, by the way.
Oh, God.
No, you had a penile embolism.
Yeah, I did. My doctor's like, what's this doing in here?
It happens.
And my penis is like, there's so much oxygen. This is fantastic.
Oh, my God.
But, okay, I'm going to tell you, I have had the exact same, and I'm not a big believer in naming names, but there are certain comedians who are my generation, or maybe a little older than me, just a little bit old, but certain comedians that come from stand-up specifically who I've met over the years, and they have left me feeling that way.
Yeah, not broken, not destroyed, but okay.
You know when you have an interaction with somebody and you leave and you just have, your body knows before your mind does. So I leave the interaction and I feel like sometimes you bump into, and this is just not talking about famous people talking to famous people, blah, blah, blah. This is about talking to other human beings. Sometimes you bump into someone and you leave and you feel like you've been nourished. Mm-hmm. You just have this nice, really nice feeling, and you just feel lifted. And I'm mentioning a name right now because I just randomly ran into him the other day, but I saw, it was in a restaurant and I'm walking out and Tom Hanks is there. And anytime I bump into that guy, I leave with this tingly, he does something
He's Santa Claus.
That makes me feel like, that old way of like, he gave me a candy cane.
Yes.
Which I found creepy, by the way. He tried to lure me to his van. No, but, he was there with Rita, and I just felt, I left and I felt like, it wasn't like oh my God, that was Tom Hanks, because I've, worked with him and done a bunch of things with him over the years and interviewed him. It was more just that he was so funny, and I could see like he saw me as a person, and we had this nice moment, and I left and he made me feel better. And he does that for everybody. He does that for the person who's changing the oil in his car, as if he goes himself.
I've seen it. I mean, I've seen him do it. It's a magic trick.
And people talk about that, but he's really beautiful that way. But these people I'm talking about, these other people who will go unnamed, I've had interactions with them. And when I leave, I always feel like they've just taken, there's like a little bit of shit on their finger and they put it on my smeared it on my forehead.
So specific.
Yeah. And you know what? And also I realized later on, they did do that.
Conan.
These are very specific people they put their finger up their ass and then they anoint you.
Conan.
They do it.
Like Ash Wednesday.
It's true. It's like Ash Wednesday, but with shit.
You may not be able to play the guitar like you want to, but you are a born lyricist.
That's why we're going to write a song. Shit Finger Jones is going to be. All I know is that it's in E. But
Shit Finger Jones. Have you heard the Decca box set of Shit Finger Jones?
Some of the deep cuts are fantastic. He has a urine phase, which is not good, but it's acoustic.
That's when he went to Austria and had
it was like his Bowie thing.
It was the 70s. He couldn't get arrested in the States. He ended up in Austria under the Alligator Records imprint.
But all I'm saying is that there is always...
By the way, real quickly, it is such a great metaphor for someone who has a great thing going with Shit Finger Jones, and then one day goes, what about piss?
Yeah.
And then everybody goes, we don't like the piss thing. We like to use the shit thing.
We tried it. We have tapes. We can play for you. It didn't work. We tried piss.
The label came to him and said, it's all about piss now.
Yeah. When you put urine on someone, they don't always know that it was urine.
It's a backwards
feel like
move.
Sweat. Yeah, it's going back.
Yeah.
It's going back. It's regressive.
And that is TikTok.
But exactly.
In a world of shit, I'm being sold piss.
But there's your lyric right there. Just cut me in for 1%. But John, seriously, like that is the exact feeling I've had with these people and may have again, where there's like a little bit of a condescension. And I feel like I extended myself and tried to be, hey, the puppy dog, and then left, and I'm driving home and I just feel
a little small,
like
just a little deflated, a little two-dimensional.
And I think that's everybody.
So here's what I think it comes down to. Certain people are nourishers, and certain people can give energy, and other people defend their energy. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm a nourisher. I want to show up with another person who's going to meet in the middle, and we're going to give. If you're not that way, and I shouldn't expect everyone to be that way. I know that I'm not rare, but it's not everybody who thinks like I think, which is, wow, how can I give to this experience? How can I, like I'm saying, looking up to people who aren't me, wanting to give to people who aren't me. Other people who can do that with you, it's the greatest jam out in the world. But not everyone has that. Other people survive by way of preserving what energy they have, not giving it in hopes the other person's going to give it back. And I think that's the polarity issue with comics, and we don't have to name anyone. It's also sometimes musicians, but musicians are more of a closed loop in what makes them happy and where their validity comes from, their validation comes from. So if a giver is talking to someone who's a defender, then that's when the giver leaves going, but I don't think the defender leaves going, was I a little cold?
No, I think, no, they don't, they're not concerned about it. And there are people, and we're talking about a very specific thing, comedy, show business, but they're just people out in the world where my best analogy is the sixth sense. I'm around these people, and before I even see them, I can see my breath suddenly. I couldn't see my breath before, but now I can see my breath. And then I turn around, and that person is standing right there,
So let me ask you this question. Knowing that, if you can predict that, especially with certain people, will you give less as a self-protection method?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will not only give less, but I will also say, life's too short. I don't think I'll go to that party. I think I choose not to interact with. I mean, we're talking about Pat Sajak.
Let's put it on the table.
But I've learned with certain people.
I mean, he literally put shit on my forehead.
He was the first
and
guy
you can see it on the wheel.
You can see it on the wheel.
You can see it on the wheel.
It's how they mark the wheel. It's how you cheat. It's how you cheat the Wheel of Fortune.
He always puts it. There's a little bit of shit right near the.
It's like marking cards.
Yes. No, seriously, look at Wheel of Fortune closely. You'll see a little bit of shit.
It goes like this. Tick, 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 tick.
And see, John can hear it because John has a musician's ear.
I have the perfect pitch.
It's very subtle. Slish. 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 I saw a piece of corn fly off the wheel once. I swear to God. And they cut to Sajak, and he was eating corn on the cob. He was. And he said, chomp, chomp, we got a real good show for you today. Who the fuck eats corn on the cob?
On television.
On television. While he's hosting a game show. Anyway, he'll get his. You'll get yours, Sajak. That Sajak is somewhere, and someone's telling him, Conan really outed you on the show for shitting onto your hand and rubbing it on the wheel.
Or he goes out to go to the supermarket, and everyone's yelling at him, Corn Man!
Hey, Corn Man!
And he doesn't know why.
Hey, Corn Man! Shit on the wheel lately?
Or he goes, they found me out.
Yes. That's what he does. Somewhere Sajak's like, no, how does he know?
Listen, guys, we've made news. And we've made fake news.
Okay, help me out. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Remember when we did the Conan O'Brien Needs a Fan episode with Smith Mullican, the guy who was responsible for the shipping manifest of things that go up to space?
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And we joked, what could you send up? And Sona said, space porn. And then we got into a conversation about jizzing in space. I said, if one male astronaut jizzes in space, he could get up to 3 female astronauts pregnant.
Right, right.
Well, now news outlets picked this up and started presenting it as news. And when I say news outlets, I mean real rags like the New York Post and a bunch of other...
And the New York Times.
Clickbait
and
things.
CNN.
No. So the best part about this is that Snopes had to do an entry on it. Now, Snopes is the fact-checking site that people go to find out if something is real or not. I've been a donor to this site before. I love this site, and I'm so happy to be on there, but also bummed to be on there as one of the people, blamed for fake news.
Well, help me, because you're not being quite clear here. You're saying that people reporting that this did happen, that 3 astronauts got pregnant?
I'll clarify.
Okay.
Here's the Snopes article itself. Claim, a NASA scientist warned astronauts against masturbating in space because they could accidentally impregnate multiple women at once. Rating, false. Fact check. In July 2022, several news sites published articles claiming that a NASA scientist had recently issued a warning to astronauts against masturbating in space because it allegedly could impregnate multiple women. The New York Post, for example, published an article headlined, Astronauts Should Not Masturbate in Zero Gravity, NASA Scientist Says. The Daily Star ran with, Astronauts warned not to masturbate in space as one session can impregnate 3 females. These headlines are absurd.
Stupid.
NASA has issued no such warning to its astronauts. These articles were based on a joke that was told by a comedian during a recent episode of Conan O'Brien's podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. On July 21st, an episode of the podcast titled Space Porn was released on various podcast platforms. The episode featured Conan, co-host Sona, Movsesian, and Matt Gourley, and guest Smith Mullican, a mechanical engineer who works with a NASA contractor in Houston, Texas. During the episode, Conan asked Mulligan about what sort of items can be shipped up to the International Space Station. As the host mulled ideas about the strangest items that could be shipped to space, co-host Movsesian asked if he'd ever sent porn into space.
Oh, man. They specified it was me that brought up the porn.
Yeah, but still, let's hear more. Let's hear more.
No, Mulligan replied. None of that. The curious hosts were not satisfied with this answer, however, and continued to joke about porn and masturbation in space. At one point, Gourley, who is a comedian, now they should fact check
that's the fake news.
Yes, I know.
That is to me, that's the most, that's the part that has me enraged.
Well, I get called a scientist later, too. I'm loving this. All right. At one point, Gourley, who's a comedian and not a NASA scientist, joked that 3 female astronauts could be impregnated at the same time if an astronaut were to masturbate in space. Here's the exchange. Conan, were someone to be watching space porn on the space station, how does that work? Gourley, 3 female astronauts can be impregnated by the same man from the same session. Conan, because the semen flies around? Gourley, and finds its way. Movsesian, and the women are all naked? Gourley, well, it's space porn. Mulligan, who is not directly employed by NASA, was not an active participant in this portion of the conversation. This was a brief.
I'm glad that we cleared him. If we've done nothing else, we've cleared him of all charges.
This was a brief exchange by 3 comedians. However,
no, it was not an exchange by. There's one comedian here. Yeah. Then there's Sona. I don't know what class. You're my assistant.
Yeah, I'm your assistant.
And Gourley, I don't know what you are.
I don't either.
You're just an imp. You're a troublesome imp.
No.
But you are not a comedian.
However, when this conversation was recounted in the pages of the New York Post, the site misquoted this section and claimed that the scientist had issued this warning about multiple women getting pregnant. The scientist in the concluding sentence was actually comedian Gourley.
Okay. Listen, you've got to stop. Is there more to read?
Just to sum up, that NASA has not issued this guideline, and there is even, I believe, some proof or some evidence that the Russians wanted astronauts to try that in space, but there might be some logistical problems to having sex with someone in space because of lack of gravity has an impact on blood flow. So that's just the fact of it all.
Okay. Right. Well, that's all neither here nor there. I think we should attack what's happened in the media. There are many instances of fake news in the media. I don't think this is that egregious because I think we brought up a legitimate point, and I think that astronauts should be warned. We don't know. Science doesn't know what's going to happen if space porn somehow invades the International Space Station.
Well, now isn't this reason for them to find out? Like now we need to know.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Russians have figured it out already. We just need them to share.
Yeah,
no, okay.
Someone needs to jizz.
But can I say something? This is
we need to.
What's clear to me is that we were talking about an interesting subject in an erudite way. Then you mentioned you take it to porn.
This isn't just my fault.
Sona, you brought it to porn, and then the imp over here
I'm a comedian.
starts.
Excuse me.
No, you are neither a comedian or a scientist. You bring it to semen. And it's all the low arts. It's the low-hanging fruit.
You're also quoted in that Snopes article as carrying this conversation forward. So it's not just the two of us.
All I'm doing in that conversation is trying to get some clarity, but I did not introduce those topics. I was trying to keep it more towards what are the fun, innocent things that could be brought to the space station or put into space. You were the guys that brought it, Sona, you with porn, and then you alley-ooped it over to this creep who took it to Jizz Mountain. And then that's where we are. That's where we are.
Did you just say Jizz Mountain?
Yeah.
You are
no,
not.
but what
Can people get pregnant on Jizz Mountain?
You can, but the man has to be at the top and the women have to be at a slight grade below them so it could run down.
Okay. Jesus.
Now, news outlets, if you're listening, this is very important.
There's a mountain.
Yeah.
Jizz Mountain.
The higher the altitude, the thinner the jizz.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, this is what we have. This is what we have.
And there's a capper to this.
Okay. Which is that you're still employed. That's the capper. Is that you're still the capper is that you're still employed.
No.
That you're still here and you're going to
You get a comedian and a scientist and you're paying for one.
Oh my God.
You act like you're above this. You're not above it all. You're not above
I'm above it all. I sit.
You are part
I am
of
the great
this.
pharaoh who stands atop the pyramid and watches you guys slinging jizz down at the bottom of the pyramid.
We've got a capper for this.
Okay.
So you know that this is real news. Joe Rogan has put it on his Instagram.
Oh,
the headline from one of the articles.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's great. So well, we don't. And again, I am defending the New York Post. I'm defending any outlet that ran with this. We don't know if it's fake news. We really don't.
No, we do know that NASA has not issued that warning.
Yeah, but maybe NASA should. That's my point. NASA, get on it. Do you know what I mean? They're stargazing so much, they're not keeping their eye on things that could really happen.
I think people need a release, even in space. I don't think it's fair.
Well, then come up with a device that keeps the material secreted and far from anyone who could be impregnated.
They
That's
have
all.
that. It's called the International Space Station.
It's a tube sock.
All right. Okay. Nicely done, Sona. As you guys know, I love gossip. I love my tea. Isn't that true, Sona?
Yeah, you love your hot goss.
I call it tea. Isn't that something that I should be?
I don't think you can say I love my tea. I don't know if that's the way it works. And it sounds weird coming from you anyway.
Also, often when I say it, I just like an actual tea, chamomile.
I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, I don't mean...
Yeah, Conan, this segment's supposed to be about gossip, not tea.
Well, my enthusiasm level just dropped incredibly because I have all these facts at my disposal about different blends, your English breakfast, your Scottish lunch.
Did you research tea before this segment thinking we were going to talk about tea?
I take these segments seriously, and I went to the library because that's the only place to get information, and I went through the library cards, the Dewey Decimal System. But now that I know that it's about gossip, I'm even more excited because I love gossip. And as you say, Sona, I loves my hot goss. So I'm very happy to report that Team Coco finally has a gossip expert in the house, comedian Solomon Giorgio. Very happy that he's on board. Yes.
Hi. Hello.
That's Solomon laughing there. Solomon, I love anyone who just giggles at their own name. That is your actual name, Solomon.
Every time I hear it, I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah. Trust me, my first name gets a laugh out of me every time. But anyway, Solomon has been in the Team Coco family for a while. He's appeared at our live shows. He's been on the late night show. And just before the world went on lockdown, Solomon hit send on a tweet that changed his life. The tweet was, "I don't care about celebrity gossip. Give me small scale gossip." And you had no idea what you were going to get back when you sent that tweet out, did you, Solomon?
No, I did not. I did not expect hundreds of responses to truly the most, just an afterthought that I had just in the middle of the day.
Yeah, the tweet went viral. Complete strangers started sending Solomon their juiciest stories. Now he's serving them up on The Juice, a brand new podcast from Team Coco, featuring Solomon and a celebrity guest discussing low-stakes gossip stories. It's low stakes and very high on the petty.
Yes,
I think, which is, I always like petty gossip. I love a good petty.
I've held every grudge my entire life. Not a single one has been let go.
The Irish, all we're really known for is very green grass and the ability to hold a grudge for thousands of years over the smallest thing. You put the stone on my side of the farm. It should stay on your side of the farm. And then they're bitter about it for 1,000 years. Anyway, Solomon, thanks for being with us. And you've brought some juicy gossip to share. I want to hear this because I want to weigh in. I'm a very wise man.
Well, I brought some historical gossip, some stuff from the past, because gossip has been around for a while. It's been like segments in newspapers for the longest time.
I mean, gossip's been around. What do you mean it's been around for a while? I think right after Adam and Eve were kicked out of, Eden, gossip started.
Yeah,
about this naked man and woman, and what was with a snake, and how come the apple, and so yes, it's been with us since day one, and it's probably kept the earth turning.
So Conan, Matt, I know that you both are history buffs. So these are historical pieces of gossip that we put together for you. These historical pieces of gossip come from the Hamilton Evening Journal, August 6, 1892.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Juicy. A woman not 1,000 miles from Richmond was, without doubt, the most flurried female in 7 counties when she discovered, after coming out of church Sunday, that her brand new hat was adorned with a tag whereupon was inscribed the legend, reduced to $275.
Oh my God.
So
how humiliating for her.
Yeah.
She bought a hat on sale?
She bought a hat on sale and was probably humiliated because it made the paper, right?
It made the paper, but also like she's leaving church. She's supposed to she's supposed to have the newest hat, I'm assuming, because it's a church function.
Yeah, the Sunday finest.
And she showed up with a cheap hat and she didn't take the tag off.
Also, this just shows you how little was happening in the news that day. Or what a bad newspaper it was. Because what if this was the same day that like President Garfield was shot and they were like, what should we do? The president's been shot in a train station in Washington. Wait a minute. This just over the transom.
Stop the
presses. The president, he'll either live or die. There's nothing we can do about it. But
well, look,
Enid Crabtree just wore a reduced hat at the Methodist Church. We've got to get this out there.
Do you remember Minnie Pearl? She used to wear a hat with the tag hanging down. Is this in reference to that?
No. It can't be. No. This was I don't think Minnie Pearl knew about this story.
She might have.
Is that what you're saying?
Like, look, Minnie Pearl might be all knowing.
She might be the woman.
That would make Minnie Pearl, who I'm going to guess passed away like 10 years ago. So she would have been, I don't know, 120 when she died. I'm sorry.
Could happen.
Who's Minnie Pearl?
A rapper that just hit huge, just out of. You got to know what's going on, right? Straight out of Oakland. No, Minnie Pearl.
Oh, that's
Minnie Pearl was famous. Was at the Grand Ole Opry. She was a comedian, and then she was on Hee Haw. She was big time comic in her day, and that was her trademark. Was a tag hanging from her hat. So those are things. I love that you're learning, Sona, about the history of women in comedy.
Yes, from you, a man in comedy. It makes sense.
Sort of in comedy, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah,
it's unclear to me what I'm doing anymore.
It is just the reduced price hat is sort of the thing that's like it is gauche. You can't be caught in that situation. So Minnie Pearl's doing like a nice little tip to something that's happened to too many women, unfortunately.
Of course, nowadays, to get to elicit the same kind of scandal, you'd probably just have to walk naked. Do you know what I mean? Out of a church that you just set on fire to get the same amount of attention. This society has changed so much. I don't think if someone saw a reduced sale tag, also that would look cool. Like, I think, aren't there a lot of celebrities who like to let it out there that I only spent $8 on this, or I only spent, this was only $15, and you're seen as thrifty, which is cool.
And there was a fashion to keep the stickers on your ball cap for a long time too.
But also, like, it shows like how different our society was. People like talk about cancel culture. Like, she got canceled for wearing a reduced priced hat.
We hope she was just canceled. She may have been run out of town
or murdered.
Murdered. Yeah. Who knows? We don't know. The stakes were very high back in the 1890s, and so we don't know what happened to her. I think it's just safe to assume that she was dismembered. She was
dismembered. Maybe she was going to return the hat after church, so she left the tag on.
Ooh, that's
and
worse.
A lot of influencers do that now, where they buy expensive clothes, keep the tags on, and then return it after they take photos for their social media.
I feel like that's. I think back in the past, all sales were final. I think that's usually.
Okay.
Also, she was also responsible for the first selfie as she came out of the church. She waited while a guy with a camera. Set up the tripod, put the flash powder on the pan, put his head underneath that big sheet, and then set the daguerreotype levels to the correct settings. And she had to stand still for 40 minutes for her selfie.
Wait, that's not a selfie. She had to get under that curtain.
She got under the curtain. She got under the curtain. She got everything
herself.
just right. Then she lit the flash powder and jumped back into frame. And it was the first recorded selfie, August 6th, 1892. Look it up. Solomon, what else you got?
The city of Humboldt in Kansas has a young women's military band that goes around playing for picnics and celebrations. It may be all right for a woman to play on a brass horn, but it makes the lips hard just the same.
What?
Oh.
What year are we talking about here?
This is 1892, same.
This is also happening in 1892.
Yes.
Women were just going insane at this time.
I know. So, like, she'd walk around town and everybody be like, "Oh, there's hard-lipped Sheila over there. Don't go near her."
It was actually a whole women's band, a military band on top of that. So they were in the military.
So wait a minute.
Wow.
I'm confused. It does make the lips hard was considered a bad thing.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm like. I feel like, is it just because they're all women and they shouldn't be getting their lips hard, and that's against the rules?
I think so.
I don't understand.
I don't know, but it sounds kind of sexual.
Yeah,
well,
like they've been put out to
your
pasture.
Lips hard. Yeah.
Oh, I think it's that their lips have been spoiled now, that they don't have soft lips anymore.
Oh, okay. I was saying the way it was written sounded sexual.
Yeah.
I like a hard-lipped woman.
What about like chapped, crusty lips like that?
I like that too.
That sounds great.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Honestly, smooth lips, really, they don't tell a story. And that's what I think the issue is.
Yeah, I think I'm with Solomon on this one. Anyone can have smooth lips. That just means you haven't lived life.
Yeah.
But give me a hard-lipped woman whose lips are chapped, crusty, flaking.
Mm-hmm. You want her to leave some of her lips on you.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Oh,
I want it to feel like
what?
I want it to feel like I just kissed a freshly sandblasted banister, and that's what I like. Hey, that's what, I swear to God, first thing, when I saw my wife way back in 2000 across the room, first thing I shouted was, "Yo, you got some hard lips." And then I said, give me some of that skin chap.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I said, flake me up, baby. Anyway, she refused.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it took me a year to recover just from that. She got a restraining order, but then about a year later, she had forgotten that I said that. I said that was someone else, and she believed it. So we got past it. I'll ask her. This is good gossip. I like this. I like historical gossip. This is good. I call it the goo. Give me the goo. Don't I always say that, Sona?
The goo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do.
I say, what's the goo? What's the goo? And to me, that just means the gooey, sweet gossip, the goo. That's what I like.
I like that.
Num, 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 num.
My favorite memory is I used to work at the JCPenney, the suit department, and I would just go hang out with women in the perfume department. And they would smoke menthols, and then we'd watch Passions, and the entire time we would just swap stories of gossip. So that's always going to be.
That sounds amazing. Passions.
You watched Passions? I
watched it too. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the best soap.
It was a
ever.
fever dream of a soap opera.
I was just going to say it was a fever dream.
I didn't see this soap opera. What made it so great?
It had witches. It had a living doll. It was very, very wild.
Yeah, living doll. A little person played a living doll, and it was all shot on early video, too. So
I remember that. I didn't watch it, but I remembered everybody was talking about it. It was insane. It was off its rocker.
Crazy.
Yeah. Bring back Passions. That's all I came here for. That's all.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do? I want to let's see if we can't use our resources, Solomon, and get some behind-the-scenes gossip from the making of the show Passions. I bet we can get something good going there.
I'm sure I can. I probably can do that. I'm not actually doing it right now after this.
Yeah. I can't think of a better use of two adult time than to drop everything. We're
two adults.
Two adult time.
All right. Well, what are you gonna do? This has been a lot of fun, and I'm very happy that you're getting to do what you love. That's the trick in life, Solomon. Find out what you love and then trick people into paying you to do it. And congratulations,
Thank
sir.
you.
Just a reminder, everybody, from workplace romances at Denny's to moms with secret lovers. Oh, my God. Each week, Solomon sources only the best everyday gossip from comedians, performers, and listeners like you. In fact, I went on the juice. I had a blast. Sona, I think you did as well, right?
I did. I had so much fun. I really did. Talking to Solomon was awesome.
Well, he's here listening.
Allegedly.
So of course, you're going to say that. Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, I know.
I know. And
I was paying him a compliment.
Yeah, but you're on Zoom, and I
it.
saw you do air quotes, and he was awesome. So insulting. So insulting.
Do you think he saw it? I hope he didn't see it.
I don't think so. I saw him. He's crying now. He's visibly crying. So do with that what you will. But probably crying about something else. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, no, it really is fun. New episodes of The Juice are out every week. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you, Solomon.
Thank you so much.